Lopsided battles, characterized by significant imbalances in military strength, strategy, or equipment, have been pivotal moments in history where one side emerged overwhelmingly victorious over the other. One such example is the Battle of Cannae in 216 BC, where Hannibal's ingenious tactics led to the Carthaginians decisively defeating a larger Roman army during the Second Punic War. Similarly, the Battle of Asandalwana in 1879 saw Zulu warriors prevail over a numerically superior British force due to effective traditional military strategies. The invasion of Poland in 1939 marked the beginning of World War II, with Nazi Germany's overwhelming military might swiftly overpowering the outnumbered and outgunned Polish forces. In the Gulf War of 1991, the United States-led coalition used advanced technology and strategic planning to defeat Iraqi forces quickly. The Battle of Stalingrad during World War II showcased the Soviet Union's resilience and strategic prowess, ultimately leading to the encirclement and surrender of the German Sixth Army. These lopsided battles underscore the critical role that imbalances in military power play in shaping the outcomes of historical conflicts. Number 5. Battle of Hodo. The famous Polish winged hussars barricaded themselves in a village to make their stand against a Tatar horde that invaded Poland in 1694 in quest of captives and treasure. Despite being vastly outnumbered and, in theory, unfit for defensive warfare, the Polish winged hussars were determined to make their stand against the Tatars. However, they were determined to make their stand against the Tatars. On June 11, the first encounter took place on the plains close to Hodo. The overwhelming numbers of the Tatar horde compelled the 100 winged hussars and 300 heavy cavalrymen to seek refuge within the premises of Hodo hamlet. When they arrived, they dismounted, barricaded, and reinforced their positions by utilizing various items such as wagons, barrels, tables, fences, and so on. This allowed them to erect makeshift defenses that significantly hindered the offensive capabilities of the Tatar battalions, which were virtually entirely composed of cavalry. Invincible defenders of the island fights lasted anywhere from 5 to 6 hours each. After the defenders had used all of their ammunition, they began employing Tatar arrowheads as an alternative to bullets. The Tatars sent the Polish-Lithuanian Tatars, also known as the Lipkas, to begin negotiations after several hours of unsuccessful assaults. When they approached our men, they, the Lipkas, advised them to yield. However, when they heard the defenders say that they would not budge until death came upon them, they reported back to the Tatars, saying that those men are invincible, and you all shall rather die sooner than you manage to lay your hands on them. According to the historical narration, the Tatars made the decision to retire after suffering casualties ranging from 2,000 to 4,000 men during the course of their conflict with several dozen Polish troops. King Jan Sobieski II of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth lavished the Polish defenders of Hodo with money and presented them with horses as a token of their gratitude. Furthermore, he ordered the construction of a monument on the battlefield. Many refer to the fight as the Polish Thermopylae, due to the significant disparity in the armies involved. Number 4. The Battle of Mai, 1046 BC. The Battle of Mai, also known as the Battle of Mai Plains, took place in 1046 BC during the late Shang Dynasty in ancient China. This battle marked the culmination of the Shang Dynasty's decline and the rise of the Zhou Dynasty. It played a crucial role in Chinese history, as it led to the establishment of the Zhou Dynasty, which would rule China for several centuries. The conflict was primarily between the forces of King Wu of Zhou, leading the Zhou tribe, and the last ruler of the Shang Dynasty, King Zhu. King Wu had sought to overthrow the Shang Dynasty, which was characterized by corruption, tyranny, and a disregard for the well-being of the people. Legend has it that the Duke of Zhou, a key figure in the Zhou Dynasty and the brother of King Wu, played a significant role in the victory at Mai. Before the battle, he made a pact with several other regional leaders, forming a coalition against the Shang Dynasty. The Battle of Mai itself took place on the Mai Plains, and the Zhou forces emerged victorious. King Zhu of Shang perished in the battle, leading to the end of the Shang Dynasty. Following this triumph, King Wu ascended to the throne, establishing the Zhou Dynasty. The Duke of Zhou played a crucial role in stabilizing the new dynasty and implementing policies that emphasized virtue and righteousness. The victory at the Battle of Moy is often associated with the concept of the mandate of heaven in Chinese political philosophy. According to this belief, a ruler is granted the right to govern by a higher power, but this mandate can be revoked if the ruler fails to govern justly. The success of the Zhou forces at Moy was interpreted as a sign that the Shang dynasty had lost the mandate of heaven, justifying their overthrow. The Battle of Moy and the subsequent establishment of the Zhou dynasty are significant events in Chinese history, marking the transition from the Shang to the Zhou period and shaping the political and cultural landscape of ancient China. Number 3. The Battle of Omdurman, 1898. The Battle of Omdurman in 1898 was a pivotal engagement during the Mahdist War, a conflict that unfolded in Sudan between the forces of the Mahdi, Abdullah al-Tashi, and the Anglo-Egyptian administration. Led by General Herbert Kitchener, the British and Egyptian forces sought to reclaim control over Sudan after the Mahdists had captured Khartoum in 1885. The British Army, equipped with modern weaponry such as Maxim machine guns and artillery, faced the Mahdist Sudanese forces armed with traditional weapons. The battle began with a strategic artillery bombardment by the Anglo-Egyptian forces, followed by infantry and cavalry advances. The Mahdist forces, despite their fierce charges and numerical advantage, were overwhelmed by the devastating firepower of the British Maxim machine guns and precise artillery strikes. The Mahdists suffered significant casualties during their attempts to breach the well-entrenched defensive lines. The outcome was a decisive victory for the British and Egyptian forces, with estimates suggesting that the Mahdist army incurred between 10,000 to 20,000 casualties, while the Anglo-Egyptian forces had comparatively fewer losses. The defeat at Omdurman marked the collapse of the Mahdist state, ensuring British and Egyptian dominance over Sudan. The battle's aftermath solidified British control over the region, as Sudan was placed under a joint condominium until gaining independence in 1956. The Battle of Omdurman remains a notable episode in the imperial history of Africa during the late 19th century. Number 2. The Battle of Stalingrad, 1942 to 1943. The Battle of Stalingrad, fought from August 23, 1942 to February 2, 1943, was one of the largest and bloodiest battles of World War II and a turning point in the conflict between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. The city of Stalingrad, situated on the western bank of the Volga River, became the focal point of a brutal struggle for control. Adolf Hitler initiated the German offensive in the summer of 1942, seeking to capture the city named after Soviet leader Joseph Stalin and eliminate the Soviet Union's industrial capacity on the Eastern Front. The German Sixth Army, commanded by General Friedrich Paulus, faced off against the Soviet forces led by General Vasily Chuikov. The battle unfolded in intense and bitter urban warfare, with both sides engaged in street-to-street and house-to-house fighting. The harsh weather conditions added to the challenges faced by the soldiers, as temperatures plummeted and both sides endured deprivation. As the Germans advanced into the city, the Soviets adopted a strategy of defense in depth, creating a series of defensive lines and fortifications. The Red Army also received reinforcement from across the Volga River, contributing to the resilience of the Soviet defense. The turning point came in November 1942, when the Soviets launched Operation Uranus, a strategic encirclement of the German forces. The operation successfully trapped the German Sixth Army and portions of the 4th Panzer Army. The encircled German forces suffered from severe shortages of supplies and were subjected to relentless Soviet counterattacks. The Soviet counteroffensive, codenamed Operation Little Saturn, further tightened the noose around the trapped German forces. By January 1943, the situation for the German Sixth Army had become increasingly desperate, and General Paulus ultimately surrendered on February 2, 1943. The Battle of Stalingrad was a catastrophic defeat for Nazi Germany, resulting in the loss of about 800,000 German and Axis soldiers and around 1 million Soviet soldiers. The strategic significance of the Soviet victory at Stalingrad marked the beginning of a series of Soviet offensives that would gradually push the Germans back towards Germany. The battle also had profound psychological and symbolic importance, as the defeat dealt a severe blow to the morale of the German military and signaling a turning point in the war in favor of the Allies. Number 1. The Sui dynasty's invasion of Goguryeo, 612 CE. The Sui dynasty's invasion of Goguryeo in 612 CE was a military campaign launched by the Chinese Sui Emperor Yangdi against the Goguryeo kingdom, which was located in present-day northern Korea and parts of northeastern China. The invasion was part of Emperor Yangdi's larger ambitions to reunify China after centuries of division and fragmentation. Goguryeo, one of the three kingdoms of Korea, had been a long-standing rival to Chinese dynasties, often engaging in conflicts and border disputes. Emperor Yangdi sought to assert Chinese dominance over the Korean peninsula and expand imperial control in the northeast. In 612 CE, Emperor Yangdi led a massive expeditionary force, estimated to number several 100,000 soldiers, against Goguryeo. The Sui forces faced numerous challenges during their invasion, including difficult terrain, harsh weather conditions, and the determined resistance of Goguryeo's military, led by King Yanyang. The Sui forces initially achieved some success, capturing several key Goguryeo fortifications. However, as they advanced deeper into Goguryeo territory, they encountered fierce resistance and suffered logistical challenges. Goguryeo's military, known for its strong defensive tactics and knowledge of the terrain, successfully repelled the invaders. One of the notable events during the campaign was the Battle of Salsu River in 612 CE. Goguryeo forces, led by the military strategist Wolji Mundio, decisively defeated the Sui army by manipulating the water level of the river, causing the Chinese forces to be swept away. The Battle of Salsu River is often considered a significant military achievement for Goguryeo and a major setback for the Sui forces. The failed invasion of Goguryeo had severe consequences for the Sui dynasty. The enormous cost of the military campaign, coupled with internal issues like forced labor on large-scale construction projects, such as the Grand Canal, contributed to the decline of the Sui dynasty. In 618 CE, Emperor Yangdi was assassinated, leading to the collapse of the Sui dynasty and the subsequent rise of the Tang dynasty. Do you think you'd enjoy it? Click the like button and subscribe to our channel, History Nexus, for more videos.